Hi, I'm Dr. Mary Barbera, autism mom and board-certified behavior analyst. I did a survey a few years ago as I was creating my first online course, and 300 autism professionals and parents responded within a week. And they told me that their number one challenge, by far, hands down, was handling problem behaviors. As a board-certified behavior analyst at the doctoral level, I have analyzed a lot of different problem behaviors, ranging from severe self-injurious behavior to one student who said, "Are you happy?" 48 times in 10 minutes, to another boy who became aggressive if anyone said the word okay. At that point, I realized how much I actually say okay each and every day. No matter what the problem behavior is, the first step is to always start with an assessment, and don't just assess the problem behaviors. Instead, assess the whole child and look at the entire situation first. Let me tell you about a little boy. I'll call him Tony. He was 6 years old, and he was in one of the autism classrooms, and I had only met him a few times. I was working at school only and not in the home, and I was coaching the staff to work on things like manding and early learner programming. Tony had a few words, not a lot, and he had only mastered a few skills. He ate cereal and corn chips during the time that I saw him. Tony's mom requested to meet with me, and when Tony's mom came in, she told me that her husband, Tony's father, was serving in the military and overseas for several months. She was having financial difficulties, and Tony was very disruptive in the community. He was clearing shelves when they would go to the grocery store. He was just having a really difficult time, which was not a behavior that I would have expected of Tony, who was pretty compliant and quiet at school. Tony was also not toilet trained, and since he was 6 years of age, Mom was spending a lot of money on diapers. When I was assessing Tony's food intake, Mom told me that he ate French fries, corn chips, and other neutral colored crunchy foods, which was not surprising. That's what I saw him eat. But when I asked her, "Does Tony get any vegetables, fruits, or protein in his diet?" she casually said, "Well, yeah, only in the baby food." Without trying to look shocked, I said, "Oh, he gets baby food." She replied, "Yes, it's the only way I can get him to eat anything with any substance." So I said, "Okay, how many jars of baby food does he go through each week?" And she said, 52 jars of baby food a week. And this is for Tony, who was able to chew and swallow corn chips, French fries, and cereal. Financially, the diapers, the baby food, and Mom's inability to take him out to stores to do grocery shopping, all these things combined were so much more important than most of the things we were working on at school. So without assessing all of these areas, we weren't able to program effectively. You can download the one-page assessment sheet I used for Tony, and initially for all my clients, I created this sheet, and you can download it using the button right below this video. If you have the time, funding, and an experienced person to complete a BB MAP assessment, that would be my recommendation. But if you can't, this one-page assessment can get you started. And the best news is that it will only take you about 5 or 10 minutes to complete. After you do this general assessment, then next I would recommend getting more details about the actual problem behaviors. I want the parent or professionals that work with the child to fully describe the problem behavior. When you describe behaviors, be as specific as possible. So instead of saying he melts down or he has a tantrum, tell me what that looks like. To coach other professionals and parents to be more specific, ask them, if he melted down right now, What would that look like? What exactly would I see? Would a meltdown include flopping to the floor, screaming, hitting mom, biting other peers, or biting his own hand? When you hear a behavior described such as he gets anxious, what does anxious look like for that specific child? Does he pace around the room? Does he verbal stim? Does he script? Does he put his head down on the desk? How do you know he's anxious, and what does that look like? Being out of control, frustrated, or anxious are not specific behaviors that you and I can count reliably. Describe what the behavior looks like in a way that we can see and we can both count, because it helps us to get an accurate starting point so we can develop interventions. For instance, one boy was hitting his head on a wall during instruction. So while this was certainly not my only recommendation, moving the desk away from the wall was a good start. As a behavior analyst, I know how important it is to define a behavior clearly, especially when conducting a functional behavior assessment. So instead of Susie hits her head, BCBAs would say something like, Susie hits the right side of her head with a closed right-handed fist. Or Susie bites the knuckle of her index finger of her right hand and will sometimes draw blood and will always make indent marks. This gives you a sense of how severe the problem behavior is. If the child causes open wounds, indent marks, or lesions, that certainly is important to note too. In summary, the first step to tackling any problem behavior is to start with an accurate assessment of the whole child, and then to do a thorough description of the problem behaviors that he or she is exhibiting. To start your free assessment, click the link right below this video, and I'll see you next week. In next week's video blog, I'll discuss the second step to tackling any problem behavior. If you're watching this video anywhere other than marybarbera.com, hop on over and leave me a comment, and don't forget to download my free one-page assessment so you can get started today.